With the release of Red Hood's character trailer, we got a greater look at some skills and abilities Red Hood possesses in Gotham Knights. Now, the discourse around Red Hood's gameplay has largely focused on two things: his gun fu and gun-centric combat system, and his mystical abilities. Now, the reason this has become a hotly contested discussion is because players are used to the most recent successful iterations of Red Hood in video games, which is in Arkham Knight and Injustice 2. Additionally, the comic and film versions of Red Hood never seemingly showed any clues that Red Hood has fantastical abilities of any kind. So if his mystical abilities have no bearing in the comics or the character's canon before this, why were they even included in the game in the first place? And for that, let's examine the game design. WB Montreal set out to make an ambitious game, a story-driven action RPG with 4 playable characters, each with their own progression, and with the co-op experience option. On top of that, they wanted to make each character have their own unique playstyle and capabilities. While the Arkham games gave us plenty of characters to play as in combat missions and DLC, it's undeniable that they were limited in their uniqueness. Each DLC character in the Arkham games had unique animations and a sort of unique combat style, but the variability amongst them wasn't that big. But that's not a hit on the Arkham games because their design philosophy was never to make the side characters as expansive or detailed as Batman, because it was a Batman story. Likewise, each character had their own unique gadgets, but none came remotely close to our main hero. Gotham Knights, on the other hand, is creating 4 unique protagonists in which every one can be the main character. It's entirely up to the player's choice. As a result, every character would require the same level of detail and uniqueness. That includes but isn't limited to the animations, skill trees, and various abilities. This even extends to the character designs themselves. Red Hood traditionally is an athletic character with a lean physique, which honestly is very similar to Nightwing's. In fact, if you go with an adult Tim Drake, the same could be said for him as well. But the developers at WB Montreal wanted to make 4 unique characters, and to do so, you have to differentiate them aesthetically, as in their body type and physical features, and in their capabilities. Nightwing, Robin, Batgirl, and Red Hood have all had the same training courtesy of their mentor, Batman. So it could be understandable that they'd all fight similarly, but from a game design perspective, and in keeping in line with the goal of creating 4 unique characters, they wanted to take liberties to separate each character from one another, and truly make each character feel like one of a kind. So, in trying to make Red Hood stand out, the developers decided to use his history with the Lazarus Pit as a basis for his new abilities. The Lazarus Pit, of course, is best known for healing and granting immortality to those who bathe in it. And, contrary to popular belief, the pit has in some instances granted powers and abilities, like in the case of Nora Freeze, who gained the ability to conjure flames and reanimate the dead herself. This shows that there is a basis in the comics for the Lazarus Pit granting strange and unique abilities. Now, I understand the critiques and the want for things to be traditional and rooted in canon, and I can see how it's surprising and out of left field to see Jason jumping in midair. The mystical leap was definitely surprising to me when I first saw it, and it was memed to oblivion, but I feel like the criticism has honestly been overblown. Creative director for Gotham Knights, Patrick Redding, mentioned in an official Q&A that we really like the idea that as Jason starts to confront the trauma of dying and being brought back, he begins to be able to tap into some lost abilities. He discovers he can channel these mystic talents in ways he finds familiar, through his physicality and how he moves, but also in how he fights and even how he uses his weapons. We'll see that the Mystic Leap is just one manifestation of these powers, and in fact, there are quite a few new powers on display in the new character trailer. We see him enter a powered up state, with the mystical powers giving him increased strength and physicality for a limited time. This even extends to his guns, which can fire an attack blast that chains from enemy to enemy. I will acknowledge these are definitely things we've never seen from this character in any other medium, but I for one appreciate the attempt at adding to the lore and taking creative liberties. In addition to these abilities, we see how Red Hood distances himself from the other knights by utilizing his size and guns. He's definitely a brawler and body slams enemies at will. Likewise, his guns offer a plethora of unique abilities like attaching bombs to enemies and shooting them, as well as dropping explosive magazines to clear space and attack a group of enemies at once. Suffice to say, the developers, in an attempt to make each character unique and different, took creative liberties with Red Hood's design and playstyle. Being that it is a creative choice, there is no pleasing everyone. It's a risk that was necessary because their design philosophy required it, and some fans may not like it, but I wanted to dive into why it was a choice they settled on. How you actually feel about that choice is entirely subjective, and that's fine. I can think of quite a few different directions they could have gone in, but honestly, Red Hood is difficult to nail in a team-rated game, so I completely understand the thinking that went behind their decision. Game design and development doesn't have rules written in stone, and it's a creative endeavor. We haven't really seen a AAA game like this before, so it's exciting to see how well they pull it off. But I want to turn to you guys. Where do you stand on Red Hood's mystical abilities? While I know an explanation or reasoning as to why they made that decision doesn't necessarily make it a good one, and I never really wanted to convert anyone who hates it to a fan. I just wanted to make the decision itself more understandable. I'm looking forward to getting more details on this game, and if you are too, please leave a like and subscribe for support, and to stay tuned to my coverage and analysis of everything Gotham Knights. You can also check out one of my other Gotham Knights videos here if you'd like. I'm Khalid, and I'll see you in the next one.